track, getting hit multiple times. Coming out of that bike section, more drivers coming to blows.
Is the brake on your new pedal set not meeting your expectations? If so, let D-Nut Stuff transform your braking experience. D-Nut Stuff has brake mods for Thrustmaster TLCMs, Husingveld Sprints, Mosa SRPs, Fanatec CSL Elite V1 and V2s, SimJack Pros, and UT sets. We are always working on adding new pedal sets and more, so check back often. Does your feet hurt after a session of sim racing? Are you tired of the distraction from sore heels? If so, D-Nut Stuff has the solution for you. Our heel pads add support and comfort for your feet, so those long races are no longer painful. We can make a heel pad for pretty much any pedal set and even add your custom logo. So get one today. You won't regret it.
Race fans, the American Muscle Series welcomes you to Road America. This track has been operating for 70 years now, and it has been host to just about every motorsport series America has seen at some point or another, It's a fantastic venue. I'm Andre Grandbouche, joined alongside for the first time in AMS broadcast history, Charles Beauchelle. Joshuah Wilkie pushing the buttons, bringing all the action to your TVs and computers as per usual. I'll tell you what, Charles, you are in for a treat tonight. This racetrack, especially in AMS, has put on some really good shows. I'm really looking forward to it, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts, being a little bit new to the league.
Yeah, really looking forward to the race. Now, obviously, this is classic muscle car on a very, very fast racetrack. Lots of straightaways. I got a feeling we're going to see some nice drafting, some late braking here in some of these corners as we're looking here going down into turn 5. And just looking forward to a great race. Don't have a lot of familiarity with the old Mustang FR 500S. Have seen it around here and there and called a couple of races, but in a different series. But looking forward to this tonight, and I'm ready to get this action going.
Yeah, we got a few minutes left in qualifying. Drivers just getting out to post their times, and this track, having the straightaways that it has and the sort of on-throttle time that it has, you're going to see a lot of slipstream. Going to be very close racing. And just to remind the viewers at home, as well as you, Charles, since you're a little bit new here, the color of the spoiler and the banners on the windshield is going to dictate the class that these drivers are in. We do have 3 separate classes running tonight. We've got Pro, we've got Challenger, and we've got Amateur. Pro is going to be in red. We've got, Pro will be in green. Amateur is going to be in red. Challenger in blue. I've been away for a few weeks, if you couldn't tell. I'm a little bit rusty on my colors. But we do have that all labeled on the timing tower as well. But we basically focus on the overall for the majority of the race. But there's going to be good battles for points in between. And in fact, Josh, I don't know if you've got the points graphic. I'm a little bit out of touch. Again, I've been out for a few weeks, so I'm curious to see where everybody stands as we head into Road America. We're getting a little bit deeper into the season now. Things have settled out a bit, and the kind of standout drivers have started to pull away. For the pro points, it is going to be, to the surprise of nobody, Kevin Parrish, but he is not far ahead of Jeffrey Schnackle, keeping him honest, hot on the heels, only a few points back with 232. Taylor Ballant going to be at the final step of the podium in points. Matt Malone didn't know if he was going to be full-time this year, but he is currently P4. And Jay Bass going to round out the top 5. Then just quickly, Ron Wolf, Fabian Zweier, Neil Kemp, David Finch, David Fernandez, Andrew Bailing, David Moore, Dana Hano 2, Chuck Labano, Jose Barrios, Michael Brennan, and Phil Keck. Moving back to the Challenger points, it is going to be Matt Thompson and Mark Cohn battling it out, separated by 9 points. These two drivers, week in and week out, seem to be trading wins as time goes by. Charles Hosea going to be P3, which I think is the best he's ran in points in his career here in the Challenger division, so doing pretty well. Levi Powell, P4. Then real quick, we got Freddie Weaver, Sancinelli, Guzenda, Gabaldon, Smith, Kennedy, Andrus, Blair, Nakem, Royce, Bray, and Berg. And then back to amateur for the final division. This one should be a pretty good battle. Joe Sacchetti, Andy Bell, Scott Brooks, going to be your top 3. Sacchetti driving away with it a little bit there. He's got about a 27-point lead. That's almost a full race. And then you got Bell, Brooks, Olson, Kosick, Tom Wendt, Merle Eschman, Jeff Bernard, John Casey, and Brandon Carl. And I know there's been a lot of talk about Sacchetti graduating up into Challenger for the next season, should he choose to return. And he's been doing really phenomenal. It's been a good rookie class this year, good amateur class. That is the situation. I was glad to see that again, a little bit out of touch. But as qualifying rolls on, drivers starting to post their time, and this is going to be a totally different experience, Charles, from in the race right now. They're kind of on their own. They have all the time and space in the world to post their laps. Fabian Zweier currently on the pole, but get into the race. We're going to have upwards of 30 of these Mustangs headed down into turn 1. A lot of slipstream action down these straightaways. It's going to be a little bit more hectic than what they're looking at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The solo qualifying is always, the differences between it and the open qualifying session is, this you kind of really can get a good idea of what the speed of the driver has, and because you don't have the slipstream to worry about. Some drivers are really good working the magic of the air and picking up a half second here and there, and sometimes putting them out of place and maybe into danger just because they're not used to running at that pace all the time. So I think this is a really good test, and it'll be interesting to see as I'm watching the timing tower here as we've got Taylor Ballant moving up to P1 there, 227.9. Only driver in the 227s. Zwayer, Snackle, Belling, and Fernandez, your top five. And it just looks like we're going to have a really tight battle here as all these groups here, these classes that we have. Looks like all the drivers are pretty well matched up. So not a lot of gaps in between these two, or in between these class drivers. So I'm really interested to see how this is all going to play out. And it may just be a matter of who just has the most consistent run tonight, and that's going to be the guy that's going to be out front for the hint.
Yeah, consistency is going to be key. There's a lot of overtake opportunities on this track, but you don't want to get too overeager. I know that iRacing has really started to go hard on the tire wear and kind of making these guys manage their equipment. There's a lot of places on this track where you can abuse this car. High-speed corners, putting heat in the tires. I think you're exactly right that maybe consistency is going to be more valuable than just outright raw pace. And then, of course, you got the pit stop to worry about. We do have 40 minutes, one mandatory pit stop, and a pretty big fuel window. If I recall, it's going to be about a 10-minute pit window where they can pit pretty early and still make it. Because I think they can go about 70% race distance on what they got. So, if you're in traffic and you don't want to be in traffic, you can use that pit stop to sort of put yourself in a better situation. Or it might go the other way. You might come in, think you're going to be all right, then you cycle out in a pack and you don't really have that free range to try to click off those hot laps on those tires. But oh, okay, so we do not have a pit stop, so says the schedule. The format has changed every now and again with the new league owners. They've kind of shaken the way things work up a little bit. And again, I was a little bit off the ball there because I'm used to the way things were. That's a me problem. So no pit stop. They'll be going all the way, which is only, Charles, going to make equipment management a little bit more important. You don't get to cool those tires off, come down pit road.
Yeah, absolutely, and no chance to come in and take a fast repair when everybody's got to come in for a pit stop. It's much easier to overcome that when you've got a fuel stop that you have to make. So yeah, it just makes things that much more critical. You got to keep that car clean. You got to keep those tires warm but not hot. And you just got to really do a good job of managing. And my guess would be with the added fuel, there'll be some guys out there that may tinker with that just a bit, maybe take a little bit out for the race and see if they can do a fuel save and just kind of go out with a lighter car. I don't know how much that's going to affect these cars by taking a couple of gallons out if they can do it. But there's always that opportunity, and you never can tell. Somebody may be brave and go out there and just run a little lighter on fuel, and maybe give them a couple of tenths here and there on the course, and gives them a chance to get into a position where they wouldn't normally be. So always strategy. There's always different ones, as you said, that kind of play out during the course of this. So once again, I think we're talking about just being consistent, keeping the car clean, and I think that's going to be the recipe for success tonight.
Right, you got to think about aero damage as well with how important the handling is going to be. The high-speed corners, the straightaways, don't want to put too many dings in these things. So it is going to be interesting. Taylor Ballant holding on to the pole. Thus far, the only driver to break into that 227 bracket. Very rarely do we see the pole sitter this far ahead of second place. Usually it's within a tenth or two here in AMS, but he's got himself a 0.3 of a second advantage. So Ballant might have this place figured out now. Sometimes AMS goes to racetracks that these guys are a little bit less familiar with. I know the last race I called for these guys was at the Miami Homestead Roval. And these guys had really no clue what they were going up against there. It really shook the running order up. But this track, Charles, who doesn't know Road America? Again, historic circuit. These guys have probably made enough laps here they could do it in their sleep. So some of these guys, I'm sure they've got the muscle memory down pat. And Taylor Ballant definitely going to be one of them, as they should have just about enough time for one more lap, one more opportunity to try to throw them off that podium.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you're exactly right. This is one of those, especially for U.S. racers that like racing their home tracks. You could throw a handful of them out there, this and Watkins and Daytona, and that's just you're going to always run these. I think there are a couple of things that we need to talk about as far as the track itself. There's a couple of trouble spots here that I want to kind of bring out. We just went through one. That was the kink. That's coming out of the carousel before on the run down to Canada Corner. It's just so difficult to pass there. It's in just generally every car class. It's a one-lane corner. You don't want to try and make moves going through there. And then the other one is not necessarily turn 5, but turn 6 up under the bridge. It's just a weird braking zone. It makes it very difficult to get the cars settled and slowed down for that corner entry. And you'll see a couple cars that'll run wide there. See a couple cars that get out there on that outside curbing and loop the car back into the inside wall. So those are a couple places you probably want to look out for tonight while we're out here during this race.
Yeah, those are definitely sections of the track that you need to look out for in any car. But you come here in this Mustang, it's kind of a brick on wheels. It's going to be even more challenging around those sections for these guys. It'll definitely be fun to watch them navigate. It always is. I love coming to this place.
Oh yeah,
it is so just it just puts on such good racing, and it doesn't really matter what you bring here. But I got a particular soft spot for these Mustangs. 1 minute left in qualifying, and I think pretty much everybody has gotten their laps in. That is why we're seeing a quiet racetrack. Really the first time I think I've seen that happen in AMS. We got guys still out there clicking off laps. But 40 minutes, and again, no pit stop. The other thing that I'm kind of thinking about with going the full distance here is it kind of makes you kind of have to fight off the fatigue, mental fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get the chance to come into the pits and gather yourself up and breathe. You're going to be racing the whole way through. Do have some weather information on the side of your screen there. Only about 80 degrees, so the track temp not too warm. 90 on the asphalt. We're not going to be slip sliding around too much. We've seen much worse here at AMS, and it should actually only get cooler as it is about 4:30 in sim. So not too much worry there. Not too much wind either. Humidity's not a big deal. So I would say ample conditions for racing. Nothing for these guys to worry about too much. But qualifying is over, and we do have the qualifying results. Taylor Ballant does lock in that P1 position, and he remains the only driver in the 227 bracket. And here we go. I'll take 1 through 10, then I'll pass it off. But Taylor Ballant,
Right.
P1, holding off alongside him, Jeff Schnackle. Fabian Zweier, P3. Neil Kemp to his outside. Look back to 5th. That's where you're going to find Andrew Bailing. Chuck Labano is going to be P6. 7 and 8 going to David Fernandez and David Moore, respectively. Running out your top 10, it's going to be David Finch and Matt Thompson.
Yeah, and Thompson, the pole there in the Challenger class. Jay Bass starts in 11th. Charlie Hosey starting in P12. As we scroll the screen there, I think it's Andy Bell is going to be at 13th position. Ron Wolf in 14th, and I think that maybe Ron is the top of the AM class. So Levi Powell 15th, Freddie Weaver 16th, Daniel Gabaldon in 17th, Michael Brennan 18th, Ed Santinelli in 19th, and Jeff Andrus rounds out your top 20.
Looking outside the top 20, we got Mike Neekum, 21st. Aaron That Face Bray, going to be P22. Joe Sacchetti, the amateur points leader, starting a little bit further back, P23. Brian Kennedy is going to roll off 24th. And as we scroll on back to P25, that's where you're going to find Brandon Smith and Brandon Carl. It's the Brandon and Brandon show back there in that row. Then you got Dave Blair, P27, Scott Brooks, 28, Jeff Bernard, P29, 30th going to go to Tom Went. Just quickly, the rest of the field, we're not going to forget him. Colin Olson, Andy Kosick, Merle Eschman, RC Race Control, so he's not going to be in the race. And then John Casey shouldn't show up. Usually that doesn't happen, but occasionally, technical hiccups, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think Race Control will be racing. Believe it or not, I've seen it. I've seen Race Control actually driving a car. It does not end well. Generally, but I'm just waiting for that green flag, Charles. We don't know exactly when it's going to wave. Always a bit of a guessing game here in this league. But Barney's got the flag in his hand. It's just a matter of when is he going to give us the green light to get down into turn 1 and hopefully have a clean first lap. I know this number 21 machine is going to be watching that mirror like a hawk. He doesn't want anybody making crazy moves. There we go. Big jump for the second row. Pole sitter gets a ton of wheel spin, and that is going to make them 3 wide down into turn 1. Back to third goes the pole sitter, and Jeff Schnackle on the outside. Let's see if he can make like a trailer park girl go around the outside. I think he might take P2 here, but through turn one, the field is clear and green. No issues thus far.
Yeah, good start by our group as we head out into turn three. And we still got Zwayer in the lead, followed by Schnackle and Ballant. Really bad, just a slow start by Ballant. Kind of got caught out a little bit, and looks like he is off and rolling though. So he's got a little bit of work to do. Obviously, he's got the pace to make up the gap with his pole time as we were coming down here into turn five. You see us tightening up there. Ooh, no contact there. Very nicely done. Is very, very close there. And it's just a difficult corner. That's probably the fastest and to the hardest braking point on the track, and it's very difficult to overcome sometimes. But well done by our drivers tonight.
Yeah, that braking point, a tricky turn. We've seen our fair share of incidents in that exact corner, especially on lap one here in AMS, but luckily able to navigate it pretty smoothly this time around as we follow along with Brian Kennedy in that purple, blue, and black number 111. Just trying to hold his own down to the bottom using that curve up. Now, there are some curves on this racetrack you can use pretty liberally, and the car doesn't get too upset, but there is a few that if you eat them up too much, they're going to wind up eating you, and they're going to spit you out into the grass, so you got to be careful. Through the kink, that is one curve you got to be careful with. You're carrying so much momentum through there, but they get single filed out. Fabian Zwayer holding on to that lead as they run, and Taylor Ballant, who did take the pole, unable to recover any of those positions quite yet, but he is hot on the heels of Jeff Schnackle, keeping him honest as they kick up a little bit of debris there down into this left-right complex. Actually starting, got a couple drivers off the track right there. Michael Brennan in a side-by-side battle, and the track does really narrow up on this back half. Not as much room to play as you might think there is going on board now with Levi Powell. It's a nice wide entry. You're going to see him cut down and a little bit on the 38, I'd imagine, down the straightaway. But that is relatively incident-free lap one, not something you see too often here at Road America.
Yeah, really was, and until we had that little incident there through the kink where we had somebody off the track. Everybody on the board there was within a second of each other, and that one little bobble has opened up about a 2-second gap between Andy Bell in 14th and Freddie Weaver in 15th, so just about 1.8, and so that's just the kind of natural thing. But so far, just pretty much nose to tail here for the vast majority of our drivers here. So it just kind of tells me this is going to be one of these races. It may end up going down to the wires. We see Schnackle now moving down and maybe going to challenge here going into 5. He's looking to the outside, says no, and just decides he's going to wait a little bit. Probably not a bad idea since we're only on lap 2.
And as we roll uphill into this kind of blind left-hander, Schnackle is going to reel in the leader just a little bit more there. Fabian Zwayer is a driver I've noticed he is really good at the start of these races. I think in the first 10 minutes of a race, you're not really going to find anybody much faster, but seems to struggle a little bit on the long run. I don't know if that comes down to tire wear, maybe equipment management, maybe a little bit of fatigue, but it's setting in a little early here as Schnackle is right on that bumper, kind of applying the pressure, press square to intimidate, and I think he is going to lose a little ground through the carousel. That was a good run for Fabian Zwayer down through the kink. Still top 3, Zwayer, Schnackle, Ballant. Chuck Labano, I want to point him out. This is a really good run for the resident Canadian here. He is generally a top 10 driver, but to see him up here mixing it up with the leaders, it's just kind of proven what I said at the beginning of this season, which is Labano is one of the drivers who has improved just so much over the last few seasons. It seems like every time I watch this guy climb in a car, he is doing better than the last time. As we ride on board, this is why. I mean, those inputs on the steering wheel, he is just buttery smooth. He is feeling himself here at Road America.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen Chuck in other series as well, and I would have to agree with you. I have noticed that the performance has increased, so he's really put some work into his racecraft, and it's showing up on the timing tower. So currently up in 4th. He's up 2 positions since the start of the race, and hanging on to the back of Ballant there. So we'll see if he's able to squeeze another position or 2 out of this, maybe try and get up on the podium for tonight.
He definitely could. I know that Chuck, as opposed to what I said about Fabian, Chuck is a pretty good long run driver, and maybe having one of these races where you're not coming down pit road, breaking that up, is going to play to his wheelhouse. But here we go, an overtake, amateur on challenger, or at least an attempt at an overtake, as Joe Sacchetti tried to make something happen there for P19 on Andrus, not quite able to get there, and that first corner is a little bit deceiving. It tightens up a lot. The car is going to get a little bit tight. Sometimes you got to give it that panic lift, and I think that is exactly what happened to Sacchetti, who, by the way, he's got a ways to go for the division lead. Andy Bell leading the division up there in P14. That is 6 positions the difference, so huge separation there. Matt Thompson leading the way for challengers. I think he was the highest qualifying challenger and now the highest running, but Charlie Hosey not too far behind. He just got overtaken by Ron Wolf there, however. So position shuffling, the overtakes we kind of predicted are occurring. And this lead pack, I think, is bunching up just a little bit as you see Andrew Bailing kind of making his presence known, as well as Kemp, Fernandez, Super Dave Moore. We got an incident further back. Not quite sure who that was. Somebody was going the wrong way. That's Brandon Carl. Got spun around through the grass. I don't see a ding on that car. I think this might have been self-induced, but we'll take a look at the slow motion replay here.
Yep.
Yep.
I've seen that a bunch. It's turn 6, and it's just really easy to get that car to break the rear end loose there with that uphill braking zone. And then just like, as you said earlier, blind corner, and it's just very, very difficult to get that line right. And he had the added benefit of having a car on the outside, which made that quite a bit worse. So Brandon, he'll get it righted back up, and he'll see if he can start chasing down the back of this field. Not too far off as I see on our timing and scoring, our SDK software. He's not too far behind, so he should be able to track to the back of the field and see if he can start working its way back forward. He's on board here with Matt Thompson leading the Challenger class, and I mean, there's another driver photo of Matt where he's actually driving his very own Ford Mustang, and Laguna's sake, I think. So Matt obviously knows what he's doing behind the wheel of his car, and currently leading the Challenger class there, running in P11, and maybe going to squeeze one by here to get past Jay Bass. He does indeed, so it's going to put him up in the top 10, and put another car between him and Charlie Hosey sitting there in 13th.
Yeah, he's definitely having a good run here up inside the top 10, and that real life experience, I've heard it does help. The sim is not 100% accurate, but it's accurate enough. If you know your way around a car in real life, you're going to know your way around a car here in the sim. And Matt Thompson is another one of those drivers that I've been watching him for many seasons in the league. I remember when he was in the amateur division, and he's a lot like Chuck Labano. He's just gotten better. He's got the drive to improve, and you can tell he's put the time in. So good to see that going on. And this lead pack, I still can't believe just how close they are. I know the slipstream's kind of keeping everybody in touch just a little bit here, but even when they go through the corners here, there's not a lot of variation in line. There's not a lot of variation in pace. They are all just kind of breathing down each other's necks, and they clearly have this place figured out. It's going to be a matter of mistakes. You talked about it at the top of the broadcast, Charles, the consistency, don't make any mistakes. This is why. You've got a train of 5 cars, and right now things are cordial, things are patient, but if somebody makes a mistake, they step out in a corner, they leave that door open, well, somebody's going to try to step through that door.
Oh yeah, absolutely indeed. It is you can't leave an apex opened up, or somebody will try and fill that hole. We've seen it a billion times here in iRacing, as we got a nice little side-by-side battle here for P2 between Zweier and Blount as they're coming through Paddock Hill Bend and up into the final corner, and able to get that settled for the time being. It's like Zweier is going to try and look to the inside, not quite enough there, as we're going side by side again. And it's going to be who's going to get the draft off the lead car, and how much is going to help him get back in front. Looks like the 2 cars, Zweier is going to be able to get that. He's going to get a bump from the back as well, and so we're getting a little bump drafting going down the front straight. He's got to back that off before we get to the corner. and but able to get his wire back up into P2, and that puts Lobano in a challenge with Blount as well. So now we've got a real battle up there for P3 through P5 as they head down into turn 3.
Yeah, we really manifested that one here in the booth. We were talking about how cordial it was, just waiting for somebody to slip up, and then it immediately happens. Now we've got side-by-side battles in this lead pack, which are just kind of going back and forth with the help of the draft. I think Lobano, kind of the loser in that situation, got stuck on the outside, and these three have lost some time to the two race leaders. Schnackle inheriting the race lead through all of that. And now to the bottom through the grass, looks like Andrew Bailing going to make a move on Lobano. Lobano himself on the grass on the opposite side of the track. We're lawn care management out here. That's what we're doing. Just trying to cut some grass, and unfortunately going to lose some time as Blount is going to take that position from Lobano, put him back to 5th, then a shot to the bumper. All of this battling causing a lot of separation, and don't look too far back, but there's David Fernandez, David Moore, and another group of cars starting to reel them in a little bit by virtue of this battling. This is exactly what they want to see, because not only are they slowing themselves down, Charles, but they are using up their tires big time. They're using up that equipment. They're beating each other's bumpers in. That is not going to bode well for the long run. If these guys can work together and just stay a little patient, might be some points up for grabs.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see, there was I think I heard Taylor Blount say he missed a shift, and that was coming out of 7 down into 8. And that's basically changed the dynamic of this front group, as now you've got the top two of Schnackle and Zweier up there by themselves. Bailing is trying to close that gap down, but he's a second back. And then there's a bigger gap back to Lobano, and then another gap back to Blount. And then you've got that second group that we had just a few minutes ago have now joined the back of Blount. So should we get this front group closed back up, it's going to jump from about 6 cars to about 10 cars in a hurry. So this might turn out to be a very interesting consequence there of just a missed shift, as we got a car off the track. Dave, we got Aaron Bray off the track, and I thought I saw a meatball pop up, but I could be wrong. Yeah, it is indeed. So obviously a lot of damage there to Aaron's car, as we're going to get a replay. It looks like he missed, just went wide coming out of Canada corner, and so often it happens, you get on those outside curbs and it kind of kicks you back across the track as you lose the rear. Yep, absolutely. That's what it was. He tried to catch it. Oh, and to the outside wall there. I thought he was just going to come across to the inside wall, but overcorrected it and took him into the outside wall. But obviously got to come in now, get his car repaired. That's going to put him to the back of the field, and it's going to make it very difficult. This is a very long and slow pit lane, so he's going to lose quite a bit of time having to make the stop.
Yeah, he's going to lose quite a bit of time, and I've mentioned it before a few times in this league, but iRacing does simulate different types of barriers. Every type of barrier has slightly different properties when you hit it, and for some reason here on iRacing, they did not short out on those concrete barriers. They are brutal. They're the worst thing to hit, and unfortunately he caught that. We do have a replay of the overtake for the lead, just down into the heaviest braking zone on the track. Cuts to the bottom, takes it for a minute, but unfortunately he's got to do a little bit of track extending with that hot entry. Gave it right back to Schnackle. They're just trading it off. Some phenomenal racing there. Bit of a desperation move out his wire, but it goes to show he's not playing around. He is not content just to ride. When that opportunity to make a pass presents itself, he will take it. So do not mistake this single file for these guys just riding around. As Fabian's wire proves, they are wanting to get whatever they can. We got another replay here. I think this might have been a little bit further back, the number 225 machine. Into that braking zone, brake rotors glowing, just came in a little bit too hot. Gonna luckily avoid the sand, didn't get stuck in there, and able to get back on track. Nothing too bad, just lost a little bit of time. Then back to live scenes. We got some side-by-side battling here.
Oh no!
On the back half of the track is the number 180 machine, Ed Sancinelli. Hard on the binders, kind of stacks up the field a little bit, but we are getting some battles all over this field. I mean, it doesn't matter if we're looking at first, mid-pack, towards the back. These guys are racing like their lives depend on it.
Yeah, well, I just saw it. The reason I just said, oh no.
Oh no, Bailing.
I just saw Bailing and Schnackle. Schnackle's towed back to the pits. Bailing is driving himself back to the pits, but both those cars have meatballs. So we've missed an incident somewhere involving a couple of our front runners. Here we go. So we're going to get a look at it here, headed down into Canada corner. That Schnackle in front. That's Bailing, I believe, right behind. And oh, there we go. That's a crossover and nowhere for Bailing to go. Oh, that's such a tough break. Such a tough break. Schnackle just was what I was talking about. That didn't happen with Bray earlier. Did happen with Schnackle that time, as you just get too wide on exit there at Canada corner, and you see the car just kind of let loose on the back. He got into the gravel actually, and that was enough, and just straight into that tire barrier and back across from the ricochet, catching Bailing, and so both those cars serious damage, and they're both in the pits.
And that is an even bigger mistake than I think the viewers at home may realize. Remember, the points leader was Kevin Parrish. He wasn't here today. If Jeff Schnackle finished pretty much anywhere in the top half of the field, he's taking the points lead tonight. But with this DNF, and that will be a DNF, he may not even get enough points to dethrone Kevin Parrish, who did not race tonight. So this is just a huge missed opportunity as far as the championship goes. I cannot believe what we're seeing, and Bailing having the run of his career, having it ended short, as you couldn't hear it, but Josh remarked from his end of the booth here that Bailing tends to have some pretty bad luck, and I agree, it's shining through again, unfortunately, as he gets taken out. Now Fabian Zweier, he's the last one left up there, Charles. I mean, he's got no challenge. He's got a 3-second gap back to Ballant. Now, I know Ballant's fast. He may be able to reel him in, but if he's going to do it, he's got to do it quick, because we are approaching the halfway point.
Yeah, he does have some help behind with Lobano, so if these guys hook up down the straightaway and can do some more of that bump drafting they were doing earlier, they can pick up the time to get back up to Zweier. So it's just going to be a matter of they're going to have to work together a little bit before they start fighting again. So it's going to have to be up to Lobano to close that gap down, about a half-second gap, so the draft should help him close that gap. And they should be able to get back together here in these first 2 or 3 straightaways, and maybe that allows them to start closing that gap down. So we'll just have to see what happens. Obviously, as you said, Ballant very, very fast during qualifying, so it may be that he could pull away even with the draft help from Lobano. But we'll have to see. But we've got a whole host of cars back here in the back that are still doing battle from about P4 all the way down to about P14. So we still have a pretty significant gap, pretty significant pack here.
Looking back to Tom Wendt, who used to be on the access road here, coming into the pits. Got a brand new paint on that Frito Sport machine. It's got some good looking paint. I gotta say, you got that neon yellow / lime green. I've never been able to tell those apart very well, but either way, he is coming in as he drives for CW3. And in the meantime, I do want to point out the battle for amateur is closing up. Joe Cicchetti has gained a few positions. He is now only 3 positions behind Andy Bell and roughly 5 seconds back, which is, I think he was over 10 seconds last time we checked in. So down but not out. I would not count him out. He's got a little bit of traffic to deal with. Andy Bell getting slowed down a bit, much to Cicchetti's benefit. So that could be a really good race to watch. And also, the battle for Challenger is pretty hot right now too. Matt Thompson, Charlie Hosey, Freddie Weaver, these drivers are within a second of each other, and that is for that division lead. So really interesting to see. Oh no, that might have been a disconnect there momentarily, a blink out of Joe Cicchetti. That may be why he qualified so poorly. Might not have caught his lap with that internet connectivity blinking. Now he's having to kind of be on the back foot, try to make that time up. But boy, oh boy, just a wild turn of events there. It looks like Schnackle has finally Alt F4'd out of the session. He did. I was going to point out that he had not left the session, as if he was trying to maybe get that car fixed up and salvage a point or two. But I think he realized that was not going to happen. So out he goes. Now this battle, Neil Kemp, David Moore, Super Dave Moore in the Evel Knievel machine. Gets a lot of camera time these days because he is always putting himself right in the thick of the action. This week, not going to be any different, holding on to a top 5 position. David Finch, David Fernandez, the David and David show, trying to dethrone him out of that top 5, but Got a bit of a freight train down the straightaway, and these guys keeping it interesting for us up here in the booth.
Yeah, absolutely is. You see those guys fighting side by side there, and it's a nice little four-car battle as David Fernandez is in the lead here, trying to get that position there, and just not quite enough yet. As I see the battling going on, they're just four drivers in four cars that are pretty dead equal as far as their pace. And I think they're at the point now that they're just trying not to trip over each other as they're trying to work their way around the track. See a little bit of blocking up there at the front as David Moore's at Neil Kemp up there at the front. They're trying to keep everybody behind them. It's going to make life interesting here into turn 5. He's got to turn a tight entry, runs it out wide. So nicely done there. I think the guys gave him a little bit of a break, kind of backed out of that, or that could have been very serious with a car on the outside. But it's a nice little four-car battle here, and points for points. So fourth, there's more points for P4 there are for P8. So you want to be at the front of this group when the checkered flag drops. As we are now have a three-car battle up front, as Ballant and Labano have caught up to Zweier. So all three cars within about 1.2 seconds. So things are starting to heat up at the front again.
Yes, they are. That's a good catch. I was just going to say, keep an eye on that timing, because Taylor Ballant was only about a second back, and then by the time we looked at it again, that 1 second turned into 0.3. He is on the move, and bringing Labano in tow as well. I said Labano's a good long-run driver, and I'll tell you what, I don't think any of these guys wants this win more than Labano. I think he is going to do whatever it takes. They all want to win, but Labano, he doesn't get the opportunity every single week. Taylor Ballant, Fabian Zweier, we see them 1 and 2 quite frequently, but Chuck Romano, as he has gotten better and better, inched his way towards the front week in and week out. Now there's a prime opportunity for a checkered flag in his windshield, and I know that Chuck can be pretty aggressive. He's smart, but he is aggressive, and that is a dangerous combo for these guys if he gets it figured out. And I just think this is going to be a great battle. And speaking of battle, there it goes. Slingshot N-gauge, a little bit of slipstream down the front straightaway. Fabian Zweier under threat from Taylor Ballant. And for the first time pretty much in the last 15 minutes, it is going to be finally Taylor Ballant back out front by a nose. But as they work their way through this right-hander, give the preferred lane to Zweier. He's going to get clear again. And that side-by-side battle, well, there's Chuck Romano. He's now on the bumper as well. That 0.8 has dissipated. And they're going to continue battling. One thing I do want to point out as we look back at Chuck Romano, there is some damage on the front of that Mustang, and that could be contributing to a little bit of loss of pace. But this is going to be a war down into the braking zone. Who's going to give? Who's not? They're going to stay side by side. Neither one of them is going to concede an inch. I cannot believe they made it through there the way that they did. Fabian Zweier not giving up this lead easy. He's got the preferred line here, but the next corner will be a left-hander. Give that one to Ballant if they stay side by side, and they do. Chuck Romano trying to figure out, who do I go with? Who am I going to stay behind? On the outside, Fabian Zweier with a huge run. I cannot believe he defended that on the outside groove, going through that flat corner. I never would have predicted that. I thought Taylor Ballant was going to take that one away. What a defensive maneuver out of Zweier.
Yeah, it was a great move. That's a very difficult run to make through turn 7 there, and handled it like a champ, and is hanging on to that P1 for all he can. But here comes Ballant again. Looks like he's going to make the run for the challenge down in the Canada corner as they make their way through the kink. And Labano I think he's doing a really good job of being patient. He's not pushing one over the other. He's just waiting to see how this is all going to end up. So we see Zweier moving to the inside line. He's going to play the defensive line as Ballant's going to move to the outside, try to hang on to it into the gravel, and that's going to hold up Labano as well, as Labano took it wide coming out of the Canada corner. But once again, Zweier's going to take and hang on to a P1 as just doing what he needs to do to keep that car in front.
I know as commentators we're not supposed to be biased, but I am pulling for Chuck here. This has been such a good race for him, and he's putting on such a good show for us. These leaders battling, and he's being respectful about it. I think, when these guys get side by side down into these braking zones, he could get a little bit more aggressive. He could put them in some very uncomfortable situations, but he has not done that thus far. He has been very respectful, and I'm sure that respect will be returned, but a little bit of contact is going to shove Fabian's wire wide. There's that 3 wide for the lead. Momentarily, they're going to file it down to 2 wide. Taylor Ballant, P3 now. Chuck Lamano is going to take over P2, and with a nose on the leader, he thought about it, but again, being smart, he didn't dive in like he maybe could have. He's going to go single file. He's going to use this slipstream down into this heavy braking zone. This is going to be a gamble for everybody involved. Do they stay patient, or do they try to take advantage of that slipstream, bringing everybody in? Here we go again, diving out of line. It's going to be the outside line for Labano. It's going to be Fabian on the low line. Driving it in deep goes that golden red machine. The rear end slides out through the grass, through the rumbles. He is not going to get the lead, and in fact, he will lose P2, but it was a great save. Didn't lose too much time. He is still P3. They're going to be 1, 2, 3 under a blanket. We knew things were going to get a little bit crazy there into that braking zone, but all this battling, we don't want to forget these drivers further back. Charlie Hosey just took the lead for Challenger, just got around Matt Thompson. So these two having a battle for a win of their own. Michael Brennan behind him, Andy Bell, Joe Sacchetti also battling for their own division. There is almost too much to even try to catch here, as everybody is just giving us a bit of a workout here in the booth.
Yeah, absolutely. As you do see, once again, Freddie Weaver is the third car there in line, so he's not out of this yet as well. So you get the top 3 in the Challenger class there, 10th, 11th, and 12th. You got Michael Brennan running 13th in the Pro class, and then you've got our 2 leaders in the AM class, Andy Bell, Joe Cicchetti, as they are still fighting, and that Cicchetti's done a really good job of closing that gap down from several cars back. So he's up there now, and he's probably just going to sit here and maybe give it a little bit of a wait and get the tires back under control, and then make a run with about 13 minutes left to go in this race. So time is running out. So the quicker he gets it done, I think we're going to have some last lap battles. So it might not be the best time to make any sudden moves.
Yeah, don't throw it away now, because as long as you're still in the game on the last lap, you may pick up some positions just by virtue of inheritance if these guys get a little bit too aggressive and take themselves out of it. So here we go again, side by side for the lead. Ballant going to try it again. He racked him, he stacked him, contact again. Same verse, second song, and he is going to just barely hold on, defend it for the moment at least, but Labano again back into the fray. And that back behind, as our producer pointed out, reeling these guys in. I mean, Charles, these guys are not working together. They're not doing each other any favors whatsoever. And if they keep this up, Neil Kemp, Dave Moore, Dave Fernandez, they are going to be there. They've got about 5 laps, give or take, with time left on the clock. Not a guarantee they'll get to them, but a firm possibility.
Well, I mean, you just kind of look at it. They've picked up about 2.5 seconds since this battle really heated up. So they're close enough. I think they can get there as long as these guys are going to keep driving side by side through the corners. That's going to slow all 3 of them down. So it's just going to give those guys that are back there running for between 4th and 9th. Basically just going to give them a chance to just run nose to tail and pick up the gap. As all these drivers, we said at the beginning, not a lot of difference as far as their overall lap pace as we saw in qualifying. So these guys, you give yourself give up a half second battling side by side through some of these corners, and those guys behind are just going to run you down. And it's going to make life very, very interesting for that front group as we may go from 3 cars to 6 cars, and I guarantee those guys in the back are going to be just as hungry as the guys up front.
They might be more hungry. That gets the adrenaline going when you thought you were out of this thing, and then in the last moment the leaders start making mistakes, and you realize, oh man, I've got a genuine shot at that. That just takes the aggression level to a whole new level that these guys up front may not even realize. So that is going to be quite something. Still 3 seconds between this lead pack and second pack. But Fabian's wire, just a defensive masterclass so far. I mean, every lap, and I think he's going to do it again. As we are refreshing the paint, a little bit of a technical hiccup. Don't worry about it. You didn't see anything, folks at home. In the meantime, he's going to get that slipstream. He's going to try it again. He's tried the last 3 or 4 laps consecutively. But so far, Fabian proven me wrong about that long run pace. He has been just so good at predicting the moves, knowing where Ballant wants to go, putting his car in just the right place to counter those moves. Uh, I think on raw pace, Ballant may be a little bit faster, but that doesn't mean anything, Charles, if you can't get around him. And so far, he has been unable.
Yeah, I think there's an old F1 commentator that says one thing to catch somebody, it's another thing altogether to pass on them. And I think this is what's playing out here. Is you've got Zweier doing a very, very good job of driving defensively, basically taking the inside line, cutting off the apexes, maybe parking a little bit in the apexes so the guys behind can't get the run. As you see there, he had no challenge, so he just ran the normal line through. And they're coming up through turn 6, be going into 7 and 8 here just in a few seconds, but still 3 cars up front. The 4 cars behind are still closing ground down to about 3.2 seconds, but they really want these guys up here to keep doing some battling. So they want Ballant up there challenging for first, and they want Romano sticking his nose in everywhere he can. Just to keep things interesting up here and keeping them slowed down, because as soon as they see they get lined up, they start picking up time on that second group again.
Yes, they do, and it has been just so fun to watch as these guys continue to battle it out. And one thing that is on my mind that I'm thinking about, if Labano is able to get to the lead here in this lead pack, is that damage on the front going to make it harder for him to lead? I mean, we see the slipstream bunch these guys up. That is only going to be amplified if you're the lead car. You got a little bit of damage. You see that in NASCAR, the super speedways. The damage cars, they're really good when they're the following car, but they're not so good as a lead car. So I got to wonder if maybe making a late race maneuver might be the play to make for Chuck Labano. But this second pack right here, let's get away from the leaders for a minute to remember there are other drivers on this track, and they are doing just as well. David Moore, Neil Kemp, David Fernandez, Jay Bass, these drivers all under a blanket doing some lawn care. This is going to be a huge run for Dave Moore. I think this is going to get him maybe clear and free up the hill. He's got some draft help from behind. That is going to be a huge benefit. Will they bump draft? Maybe so. Yep, there it is. There's a little bit of a shove. But I don't know. Down into the corner, that might not be enough for Dave Moore. I thought he was going to get a little bit further ahead. They're going to go into the turn 1 side by side, and bottom groove, that will be enough to get the deal done. That is going to put Mr. Dave Moore up another position. Now the lead car of this second pack. And I do want to give a shout out to Neil Kemp there as well, because he has had really good pace this year. I believe he's got a couple really good in qualifying, really good results. He's had some bad luck though. His season's kind of been up or down, and tonight seems to be a high note. Be good to get some momentum rolling towards the end of the season. You can close this thing out.
Yeah, doing a great job there as we're watching. I think Fernandez able to get by with that extra little bit of run he had with by helping Moore. So Fernandez moves up to 5, Kemp in 6, Jay Bass still sitting there in 7th. Not really getting too much involved in these, as now they've kind of let Moore move out just a little bit. They're going to have to track him down over the next half lap or so to close that gap down back under a second. Seems like it's already starting to come back down as they gap up to from P4 up to P3 is 3.1 seconds. So they are still closing it down a little bit, not nearly enough in order to get up there before the end of this race. We're now 6 minutes left in the race. I believe we're going to be 2 to go at the line, if my math is correct. So we're going to have 2 laps to go, and I think it's about to heat up.
It definitely is. Right now, a little bit of breathing room for the first time in a while for Fabian Zweier. So real quick, while he does have that breathing room, I'm going to try to get this in. I do want to give a shout out to league sponsor D-Nut Stuff and Mr. Mike Meekum, who has kept this league running this season. D-Nut Stuff, you've got the rig, the screens, the passion. When you're diving into the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, do your pedals feel like a world-class GT3 car or a toy? It's time to upgrade your immersion with D-Nut Stuff. We specialize in high-performance sim racing mods designed to give you the trail braking precision and throttle control you've been missing. From our legendary DNX HVD pedal kits to custom spacers and clutch mods, we build gear for racers who demand more than stock. Whether you're a casual Sunday driver or a daily iRacing grinder, our kits for Fanatec, Simpson, and Huskenbelt pedals are engineered to help you find those extra tenths a second. Stop settling for good enough and start hitting your marks with total confidence. D-Nut Stuffed Sim Racing Gear. Serious mods for serious racers. Go ahead and visit dnutstuff.com. Dial in your sim rig today. And with that said and done, we'll get back to live scenes here as we've got side by side with Mike Meekum. We're talking about his company, and meanwhile, he's given us a show for P20. Looked inside, nobody was home.
Yeah, absolutely. Is watched him go a little wide there out of the final corner, but gotta love a petty blue livery STP. Just kind of love that. Old NASCAR guy like me is you love to see those old liveries out there. As we're back up here, and we're still looking on board here, and this is Taylor Ballant, and he's got Chuck Labano there. And Labano once again. Now he's starting to look a little bit. Now he's going to get the run coming out of 7 down into 8. So nice run there. He's going to look to the inside. I think he's going to get that done. He's going to challenge the leader as well. So he's going to try and go 2 for 1 as they come too wide coming out of turn 8. They're going to be running through as a little bit late there through the carousel. And Labano, I think, is going to be able to hold on, but he needs to get a good run out of this corner and get it and head it down the straightaway. And he has absolutely done so. So he's going to move himself up to P2, right behind Zwayer, and now the hunt is on for that final position for Labano.
That is going to be a huge motivator to have taken P2 once again down the straightaway. A huge run. This might be all she wrote. Chuck Labano to the point, put him in P1, side by side for second place, and no! Cut so short through the corner, just a little bit wide. He got a little aggressive through the sand. He went, and just like that, the legacy starts to crumble. And with that, here's that second pack we were talking about, Charles. They are here. Dave Moore, Dave Fernandez, Neil Kemp, they have joined the game. They plugged their controllers in, and here they are. Players 3 through 6 have entered the game. They are going to get that slipstream down the straightaway. The race has just changed, inconceivably so, as now it is not a 3-car battle for the lead. It is anybody's game as they're going to go side by side again for the lead.
Yeah, as we see Ballant move to the inside there over Zwayer, and it's going to be side by side. Here comes the rest of the group as they keep doing that. They make the run down into 3, and Zwayer comes and just kind of hangs on to P2, gets back in line, says, let's get through this corner. We see him just really sliding coming out of 3. And now here comes the run down into 5. And yeah, it's going to be busy here as Moore now sets his sights on Labano. Labano having to do a little bit of mirror driving to make sure that one of these guys from behind doesn't make the dive. He's been up there running in the podium positions for 15 minutes now, and he wants to finish that way. So he's going to hang back there and try and get that run out a little wide coming out of 5. As we see the next group here as Matt Thompson looks to the outside here in the Challenger class, and that's going to be really, really wide there.
No.
Cozy. Matt Thompson's going to take over the top, but Freddie Weaver's going to get it as he ran up the inside. And so he's going to take over the top spot in the Challenger class. So Freddie going to jump up to P10, Matt Thompson 11th, and then Michael Brennan in the Pro class is going to sit there in 12th. Cicchetti's up to 13th. Andy Bell's dropping down. He's fallen down to 17th, so I'm not sure what happened to Bell. But that seems like that might be the nail in the coffin there for Andy challenging for the amateur class win. Is it going to be? Yeah, it's going to be that outside. Got too wide into the gravel. Good catch to the car though. Manages to hang on to it, get through the corner, even though albeit in the grass, but got through there safely and successfully without hitting anything. So we're going to go back up here to Matt Thompson challenging again now on Weaver. Look, oh, is this a replay? Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, this is just Hosey. Just too wide coming through 5. Contact with Matt Thompson. Can't really see. Yeah, left front damage there. That's going to hurt. Here's Arrow on the front end. That's going to make that very difficult as we're coming around. It's going to be the white flag, or are we hitting the checkers this time? Wow, white flag by about 8 seconds. So, all right, white flag, last lap. Here we go. Taylor Blount in the lead.
And that is not what Taylor wanted to see. He was hoping for that check flag, and now he's got to go around all over again with Fabian Zweier breathing down his neck down into turn one. They're not going to be side by side, at least. That's fortunate for the race leader, but you can see they are getting desperate, using every inch of this track, getting a little bit wider out of that corner than they normally do. Fabian Zweier went wide, then Lobano followed him, so did Dave Moore. Now these drivers going to go down the long straightaway towards that tight left-hander, heaviest braking zone on the track. The final time will be going through that braking zone. This may be where you're going to see a Hail Mary if you see one at all. I don't know if these drivers are going to get brave enough, but we are going to go side by side. Fabian Zweier pulls out a line over the curb. Huge defensive move to the outside for Mr. Blount, and it is going to work out for the time being, but I think Zweier got a better run out of the corner, carrying that speed up the hill into this left-hander. Tricky turn. We've seen a few self-induced spins here. Not for the leaders. They're going to get through just fine. Looking back from the rear view of our leader, all those cars chasing in tow and trying to hope that maybe these two make a mistake. Time is running out for them to make something of it. Lobano with a deep dive. He's going to close in about a car length in that corner alone. This is the part of the track where Lobano is fast. He has got pace. Meanwhile, Blount just trying to maybe use some of the defensive driving he watched Fabian do for the better part of 20 minutes. And trying to learn something from him, use it to his advantage. Down through the kink, coming up next, fastest corner of the corner. David Fernandez, or Neil Kemp getting a black flag. The bad luck continues for that 99 machine at the last possible minute, but only a few corners remain. Still single file for the lead. Neil Kemp able to serve that time penalty. He cycles out in seventh. 1, 2, 3, 4. There they all are. Only a short sequence of corners remaining, and then a slipstream to the line. It is going to be Fabian Zweier charging hard, trying to get the bumper. There's Lobano going way wide, carrying all the momentum he can carry into this right-hand complex towards the start-finish line. I think Taylor Blount is going to be able to hold on to it. Unless something crazy happens, he will break the draft. And what a day it has been. Qualified on pole, got a bad start, had to climb back to the top. And it's going to be a race win for Blount. Fabian Zweier P2. Meanwhile, further back, Freddie Weaver and Matt Thompson are battling for the Challenger Division win. I think you're going to go ahead and give that one to Freddie Weaver easily. And then behind them, Joe Sacchetti going to take his division easily. So, Charles, that was, for your first race here in this league, that had to be quite something.
Yeah, that was a good race. That was a nail biter up there, and just everybody trying to get what they could get there at the end, but some really clean racing. So really happy to see that as we're seeing Scott Brooks come around. But yeah, just great battles. Every class contended in battle until the last lap. So great bit of driving by all of our drivers, and to see a nice 6-car pack up there at the very end was very cool. We don't get it.
For 20 seconds. Scott Brooks going to hedge him out. Thought we might have something like that for the lead, but Slipstream really helping out Mr. Olsen there. Scott Brooks, I should say. No, Olsen was able to hold on. Brooks did not get to the line in time. That is a 100th of a second. Wow. As these guys cycle through, we're going to let these guys hop in for their quick interviews. I do want to give a quick shout out to league sponsor Chiba Hut, as usually JR is the one that does that read, and he was not here tonight, so I didn't even think about it. But Chiba Hut is a full-time sponsor of the league this season. If you want to get yourself some phenomenal subs and cure those munchies, head on down to your local Chiba Hut. You can go to their website, that is Chiba, Cheba, and you can go to their store finder, and I'm sure you can find one nearby. Big thanks to them for helping keep this league rolling week in and week out. But we do have some interviews lined up. I believe we got the amateur winner at least so far. So
yeah. I was going to give a shout out real quick to Brandon Carl. Our first little spin there at the start of the race, came back and ended up finishing 24th, up 2 positions from the starting position. So great job, Brandon, just hanging in there and working and moving, and just continually working and move up. So great bit of racing, coming back from seemingly a last place finish to finish in 24th. So nice job, Brandon.
Yeah, phenomenal drive to gain that many positions and be that consistent tonight. Really, I don't think very many of these drivers had a flawless race. Even the race winner had a few mistakes here and there, so getting that many positions, that's not too bad. Tell you what, as we don't have anybody else lined up and we're kind of pressed for time here, I'm going to go ahead and pull in Mr. Joe Sacchetti, have a word with him. Mr. Sacchetti, you got a copy?
Hey, what's going on?
Well, I'll tell you what's going on. It was a phenomenal race is what was going on. You guys in every division, from amateur to pro, were giving us a run for our money up in the booth. There was so much to look at, so much to talk about. And you were a hot topic there for a bit, running down Andy Bell from quite a ways back, taking the division lead, and just having an overall phenomenal night. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, man, I was sweating. That's for sure. That was awesome. I knew it was going to be a good race. I've been talking to Andy, and I was a little scared when I saw he started 10 positions ahead, and I knew I was going to have to, focus up, and, it worked out.
It definitely did. Now, this track is not a track that permits anybody to get too far away. The slipstream kind of kept everybody close together. How'd you keep a level head, and how'd you navigate that traffic?
Honestly, at first, like for the first 20 minutes, and I wasn't really keeping track of time. I saw I was behind Ed and one of the other guys, and I was just like, oh crap, 20 minutes left. I was like, I gotta do something, and at that point, I turned my music on and I went for it, and then all of a sudden Andy was there, and that was it.
Absolutely. Well, again, congratulations on a great run. Before we let you go celebrate it, Joe, is there any shout outs you'd like to make?
Yeah, shout out to the Frito guys. Shout out to my buddy Matt Vians and Andy Bell for an awesome race.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Joe. Congrats on your win. We'll be seeing you next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right. That was amateur winner out of the booth. And now I'm going to go ahead and hand over Freddie Weaver to you, Charles. This is your challenger winner.
All right, let's bring Freddie in, have a conversation. Freddie, this is Charles in the booth. Hey, congratulations on the Challenger class win, and it's a great battle up there with you and Matt Thompson, and seemingly a host of others. It was a pretty tight field tonight.
Absolutely, that was quite the battle. I was just sitting back there, biding my time, waiting for my moment. Tried to help Matt get the inside on him a couple times, and couldn't quite push him by, and finally about a lap and a half from the finish they messed up.
Yeah, and that was Charlie Hosey was the guy that kind of made the error there coming out of turn 5. But so far, I'm new here, so you're going to bear with me a little bit. So is this your first class victory this year?
This is my first Challenger class victory. I was the AM champion last season and the runner-up the season before. So first season in the Challenger, and so far so good.
Yeah, sounds like we've got about another season here, and then we'll be moving up to pros.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you were here from the start, I think the other gentleman that announces I was a back marker, and I was no good at all the first few seasons. So come a long way.
There you go. That's probably more fun than winning races. It's just seeing how much you've improved over the course of time. So I know I always appreciate when I go out there and get a good result against people I probably shouldn't be racing with. So Freddie, we're gonna let you go, but we're gonna give you a chance to give any thanks before we let you out of here.
Shout out to my wife. I mean, she puts up with me down here all the time, quite a bit more because I race more leagues now. Shout out to Frito Sport, great group of guys. If anybody ever comes in contact with them, they're always willing to help. And big shout out to Matt. He was my nemesis tonight, but he's the setup guy, and if it wasn't for his setup help, I probably wouldn't have beat him.
There you go. Freddie, congratulations on your first Challenger victory, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
All right.
All right, Challenger winner out of the booth. Now, we actually had him labeled as the right class this week. I know the first few races of the year, we incorrectly had him labeled in the amateur class, but well, one way to show us that he's in Challenger is to go out there and win the thing. So we got that figured out. Going to go ahead and have a word with the overall race winner and the pro winner, Mr. Ballant. Mr. Ballant, you got a copy?
Oh, yes, sir.
All right, Taylor. That was an up and down race. We didn't know what to make of it. The race starts, you start on the pole, that's great. You miss a shift on the start, or maybe just a little bit of wheel spin there, that's not so great. Then you take the lead back. That is great again. So kind of a roller coaster night. Tell me about it.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, that's got to be one of my top 5 all-time favorite fun races right there. I was just super cautious off the start. I knew, we were going to have the draft. We were all going to be close up there. There was going to be swapping the lead around a little bit. And man, I've like thought, okay, I'm chilling in third. I'm relaxed here. And then I missed a shift and fell back a little bit further. I still wasn't super worried at that point, but then I saw Andrew and Schnack get into it up there. Unfortunately, took them out of contention. Kind of left Fabian as a sitting duck up there. And boy, I'll tell you, once Chuck and I ran him down, man, it was just a battle royale for like 20 minutes straight. It felt like. I mean, I'm exhausted right now. That was absolutely door to door fun racing, lap after lap. That's what I love about this league, man. It was just super clean, super fun racing.
It was fun in the booth. I mean, just watching you guys was an absolute blast. Now, you mentioned Fabian's wire and all those laps he led. It seemed like his defensive driving was absolutely on point. There were times where I thought for sure you were going to make the move, you were going to get around him, but then somehow he would have just enough momentum to hold you off, and it took you quite a while to make that move and make it stick. Were you starting to get a little bit frustrated behind him, or were you just kind of enjoying the race?
Honestly, I was enjoying it. I've raced against Fabian before. I know he's a super clean driver. He'll put it off the track and into the wall before he'll make contact with another car. So I knew I could trust him going into every one of those corners. And yeah, I've also known before that he is a fantastically defensive driver, and I knew he was going to be tough to pass, and sure enough, he was. But finally got the job done.
Yes, you did. Fabian did a phenomenal job, but you got him in the end there, able to take that position back. And like you said, it was an all-out brawl. I think you guys were all in the lead at some point or another, just kind of trading it back and forth. Before we let you go celebrate the big win, Taylor, any shout-outs you'd like to make?
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to my mom and my wife. Once again, I know she had to go to bed early tonight, but she's going to watch this replay and she's going to love it. Yeah, big shout out to Chuck Labano tonight too, man. He was mixing it up there with us in the front, and it's good to see him up there. He was really clean driving, and yeah, just shout out to the league as usual. Lots of organization goes into making this a success, and I really appreciate it continuing on and given great races like this. I mean, like I said, this is by far, yeah, definitely my top 5. Definitely my top 5 of the most fun I've had in a race. So.
Could not have said it better myself. Thank you for your time, Mr. Ballon, and thank you for putting on a good show. That was so much fun to watch, and it's drivers like you that make it such a joy to be up here in the booth, and so fun for the folks at home to tune in and watch this series. And yeah, just a great time overall. Congratulations.
Thanks again, guys.
All right, a very ecstatic Mr. Ballon out of the booth. Now, I know Josh needs to get on a plane and head on over to another race real quick, so we'll try to wrap up the outro pretty short here. Charles, do you have any final thoughts?
Hey, thanks, JR, for letting me sit in for you tonight. I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Fun indeed. Well, I've been Andre Grandbouche, joined alongside Charles Bochelle, and of course Joshua Wilkie, pushing the buttons, bringing all the action to your TVs and computers. Thank you, folks, for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time here in the American Muscle Series.